Personal Conflict Styles by Brittany Spagnolo, Caitlin Cassano, and Nathan Watt. Personal conflict styles refer to the way that people handle themselves when our needs are not met. Non-assertion is when you can't or don't want to express your thoughts or feelings in a conflict. This could be caused by a lack of confidence or simply the lack of skill to directly express yourself. Non-assertion can take multiple forms. One form is avoidance, which can display itself physically by actually avoiding a person or a situation, or conversationally by changing the topic or simply denying that the problem even exists. Another form non-assertion can take is accommodation, where the person simply gives up and stops trying to meet their own needs. Sometimes non-assertion is beneficial. For example, in the workplace, sometimes it may not be in a person's best interest to stand up and express themselves in front of their boss. However, more often than not, non-assertive behavior shows inability or weakness. An example would be a person with non-assertive behaviors would avoid going to the doctors even though they know that something could be seriously wrong.
Direct aggression. Direct aggression occurs when a communicator expresses a criticism or demand that threatens the presenting self of the receiver of the message. Character attacks, competence attacks, physical appearance attacks, maledictions, which is wishing ill fortune, teasing, ridicule, threats, swearing, and non-verbal emblems are all types of direct aggression. Direct aggression has a severe impact on the target. Victims can feel embarrassed, inadequate, humiliated, hopeless, desperate, or depressed. This hurts an individual's ability to form personal and professional relationships. There is a significant connection between verbal and physical aggression, but even if it never gets physical, the psychological damage can be devastating. For example, men who view conversations as contests and partners as opponents are 60% more likely to die earlier than less aggressive men. Newlyweds whose disagreements are marked by sarcasm are shown to have weakened immune systems. Verbal aggression can affect the relationship and the individuals themselves. Sometimes one aggressive remark can cause a downward spiral and ruin a relationship completely. This is why verbally abusive couples report significantly less relationship satisfaction than couples who communicate less aggressively. Once hostility is expressed, it usually escalates. Negative communication is more often met with negativity than positivity. If your neighbor's dog barked loudly, you could handle the situation by abusively confronting him or her and threatening to call an authority the next time their pet caused trouble, which would fix the problem but create other non-productive problems with your neighbor. Unlike other conflict styles, research shows that almost anyone who encounters direct aggression judges it incompetent.
Passive aggression occurs when the communicator expresses hostility in an obscure way. This behavior can be termed as crazy-making. It occurs when people have feelings of resentment, anger, or rage that they are unable or not willing to express directly. Instead of keeping these feelings to themselves, these crazy-makers send the aggressive messages in a subtle, indirect way so that they can still come off as being kind. The target of this behavior can either react with aggression or back off to nurse their hurt feelings. Passive aggression usually ends with harmful effects. Indirect communication conveys a message in a roundabout way in order to save face for the recipient. Indirect communication lacks clarity, but on the other hand, it involves more initiative. The goal is to get what you want without arousing the hostility in another person. Indirect communication is often kinder than blunt honesty because it saves face for the other party. An example would be telling a date that you're busy so you can't go out instead of telling them you aren't interested in them. At certain times, we communicate indirectly to protect ourselves. An example of this is testing the waters by hinting at the healthcare professional for a raise instead of outright asking. This tends to be the best approach at personal conflict styles. Assertion occurs when a message expresses the speaker's needs, thoughts, and feelings clearly and directly without judging or dictating to others. An assertive course of action would be to address their concerns in a productive manner. In a health science perspective, an example would be when a doctor has made a diagnosis and relays his treatment plan to the nurses, who will then execute his requests.